Was Aunt May a problem in No Way Home? Why Aunt May is the biggest problem with No Way Home?
Spider-Man No Way Home has to be one of the most mixed reviewed movies after being released. Because in the moment,
I ain't gonna front. When the movie first came out, peak. I'm talking about perfection peak. I was so excited. But I haven't I rewatched it a second time. It didn't hit the same, but I feel like anytime you watch something, after the first time, it doesn't hit the same as the first time. After you watch it for the second time, it doesn't hit like the first time. I literally I didn't get on my phone on the internet the week of No Way Home releasing, bro. That's how locked in I was.
everyone looked at it as one of the greatest Spider-Man movies. But now that some time has passed and people have rewatched it, there is a group of people that maybe is not as high on No Way Home as before. I am one of those people. And when rewatching, I would have never thought that one of my biggest problems, one of the biggest things to enrage me, is Aunt May in this movie. One of the biggest differences that we notice in Tom Holland's Spider-Man, there is no Uncle Ben. And not only no Uncle Ben, but we have a way younger Aunt May. And we know that she is younger not only because she is not wrinkly and saggy, but because of the way that she acts. She's doing this one night stand gimmick with Happy. She's dropping Peter off at parties and she's giving him wrap it up advice. Now, if anything, that sounds like a true young auntie to me. A auntie. Someone that doesn't want the full
a young T. He trying to call her a young hoe, bro. That's crazy.
Responsibility of being a parent to a kid, but still wants to have fun with them. That is the vibe that Aunt May has given off in the first two films of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And with each movie, as it progresses, we get more and more depth to the character. Peter begins to be a lot more mature. He starts to understand the true power and the magnitude of having that type of power. And in Brand New Day, we truly see an adult. And right before Brand New Day, Peter also has this realization of how much his powers truly comes with great responsibility. He learns the sacrifice that comes with this power, and he loses the only family that he had left. But once we get to the Aunt May death scene, I think that they forgot that we haven't had any type of emotional touch with the character of Aunt May since the beginning. There has been barely...
That is true. I ain't gonna front. The Aunt May that we have for Tom Holland, you really don't have like a emotional connection. Because I ain't gonna lie, when she died, I didn't react. And even though we know Uncle Ben passes away, and with when Toby's Aunt May almost got slimed out by Green Goblin, I felt some way. But with her getting slimed out by the same Green Goblin, I ain't really feel too much of a difference there. I ain't feel no connection with the new Aunt May.
Any serious moments with this woman. One of the greatest things to piss me off so far in this movie is when Aunt May, one of the most useless characters in the movie, decides to have all of a sudden this fucking moral high ground that instead of just sending the villains back, he should try to help them. Yes, the woman all of a sudden now wants to be a source of wisdom in Peter's life. You wanna be so helpful? How about you put on that motherfucking suit? How about you go out there and help these motherfuckers? Nigga, even Ned and MJ was doing more than your ass. And then once we get to the point when it's time for Peter to actually fix these monsters, he has to do all of the work because she isn't smart enough to even come up with a solution other than just giving these niggas water when they're thirsty. And on top of that, she's not powerful enough to stop anybody if everything does go wrong. I ain't had no problem with Aunt May this entire time. And the only thing that I've ever heard mention about her in these movies is how fine everybody thinks she is. Well, hey.
That is true. The new Aunt May for Tom Holland glaze was ridiculous, and it still is. But she really didn't serve a purpose outside of people just liking how she looked. I ain't gonna lie, Toby's Aunt May was amazing. I'll say Andrews was like second, Tom Holland's Aunt May was third, but shout out to the first Aunt May, bro.
Newsflash, buddy. I don't like milk, so I don't give a fuck about how good you look. Your looks mean nothing to me. I am lactose to your milk powers. And don't get me wrong,
This man
yeah,
just hates
she's
milk.
there to comfort Peter. She does try to give out some type of advice. She does show that she cares for Peter. That's not where the question begins. The problem is that it genuinely, truly feels like not only in No Way Home were they nostalgia baiting, bringing Toby and Andrew back, but they were also cry baiting. And the one good service that she is able to do in the movie is helping Peter after Peter's useless ass couldn't 1v1 Norman without the glider, without it.
I ain't gonna lie. You don't know how strong, bro. A lot of people underestimate how strong Green Goblin is. He may look old, but when he changes to the green, bro, that's a whole different person. That man literally has the same strength as Spider-Man, bro. He's literally, bro. You gotta know ball, bro. So don't disrespect Tom Holland, because a lot of people, I don't like this disrespect. Everybody's talking about how the villains came on to No Way Home and he couldn't 1v1 Green Goblin. Bro, Green Goblin without the glider is a problem. I'm sorry to tell you that.
The gadgets? The guy playing Norman, I never remember his name, but his acting is timeless.
William Dafoe.
He still has one of the greatest one-liners. And apparently, you know what else is timeless? Ass whoopings, because he just put hands and feet on Spider-Man by himself.
Hey, bro, we not gonna disrespect Tom Holland, okay? We not gonna disrespect Tom Holland. Look at you right now. You look like a bozo. We not gonna disrespect Tom Holland. It is Green Goblin we're talking about. Even Toby was getting whooped by this man in the fight that they had, bro. He literally I'm trying to remember. He literally only died because he was trying to trick out Toby, bro. That's the only reason. Because Toby was putting the paws on him towards the end. But he literally was like begging because he was trying to trick Toby, bro. Don't lead it out, bro. Don't disrespect Tom Holland. We're not gonna disrespect Toby.
Solo dolo. And all of this happened to lead up to her giving the weakest with great power comes great responsibility. I genuinely wish they would have just kept her as a background character, because that's what she's been in all of these movies. And guess what?
She
When she dies, I don't give a fuck. Peter got these spidey senses, but couldn't sense your auntie bleeding to death. One of the biggest things that I felt so far has
That's not how that works.
been missing from these Tom Holland movies is deeper meaning. Not even just the meaning of who Spider-Man truly is and what he symbolizes, but just in general, a deeper message. And instead of establishing this in the first film, we get it gradually throughout each film. As he gets older and goes through more experiences, he begins to understand the role of what it means to be Spider-Man. And I'm starting to see the foundation start to form. But if you were to just take a guess in what you think the most emotional scene from this movie would be, you would think it would be Aunt May dying. You know, because we get the dramatic scene of him being out there in the rain.
I ain't gonna lie. That's a good point to bring up, but mine would have to be, if we're talking about emotional, well, that's a great question, but it definitely wouldn't be that. And if we're talking about sadness or like a feeling of like down, I ain't gonna lie, mine would have to be when Toby got stabbed while Tom Holland was punching Green Goblin. I feel like that was more of a scene that made me feel something more than the scene with Aunt May passing away.
Crying. And slow-mo of the raindrops falling on his face. But respectfully, I think it's bullshit. I think it's bullcrap. Aunt May's greatest advice throughout all of these films was to wrap it up. That's the type of advice we've been getting from Aunt May this entire time. She hasn't been morally helping this nigga figure out anything. She just been going with the flow in the first two movies. And all of a sudden, you want me to be emotionally tied to a character that hasn't shown any bit of emotion? If you wanted me to care more, I don't know, maybe show the only parent figure left in Peter's life. I don't know, maybe just being more of a motherly figure. But instead, Tony Stark was more
Shout out
important
my
to
boy
Peter
Tony.
than you, and you lived with him. Why should I feel bad in this moment? When the moments we get from Aunt May are mainly about her secretly screwing happy. I'm supposed to shed a tear because she can't self-revive and go get some more dick? I don't understand. Because that's the only thing that she has been doing in these movies. Mind you, in the first 2 reviews of the Tom Holland films, I didn't say much of nothing about her because she's just been a character that has just been there. So I honestly never really cared or gave it too much thought. And the fact that all of a sudden you're expecting me to care is just pissing me off. No Way Home was just forcing a lot of things on me that I didn't consent to. And it is why that I have a movie like Brand New Day above it. It is why I think fundamentally Spider-Man 2
Brand New Day is absolutely better than No Way Home. Like, absolutely better. And I feel like No Way Home kind of brought up value for Tom Holland for me. But No Way Home is like the proof in the pudding of what perfection looks like for a Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. And there's still more to come, but I gotta agree, No Way Home doesn't hit like Brand New Day.
is just a better film.
And it, like he said, is more of a nostalgia thing because we get Toby and Andrew, and people were expecting that. That's it. We got the villains, we got them. Outside of that, what route could they have went with Tom Holland?
Even though my rating for the movie went down after a rewatch, does not mean I think that.
I ain't gonna lie, a lot of people, bro, this movie right here, Far From Home, it wasn't the best when he was around, but Mysterio and Tom Holland, Spider-Man, that was peak. I don't care what nobody says.
This is a bad movie. There are some plot holes there for sure, but at the end of the day, the experience that this movie gave in the theater is something that is priceless. I don't understand how Aunt May is supposed to have this Uncle Ben death when she hasn't provided anything that the previous Uncle Ben's provided. The writers legit was like, even though we haven't been following a traditional Peter Parker Spider-Man storyline, we're just gonna make sure that we check off some of these checklists anyways. Like, even though it doesn't make sense for her to say this legendary quote, we're just gonna have you say it anyways because, oh, this is what the fans want. This is probably what the fans want. It felt completely rushed. And if it wasn't something that you were building in the previous movies, you shouldn't have just plopped it on me. Yeah, and that's why I do not like Aunt May in No Way Home. I reviewed to every single live action Spider-Man. Go check out that video, all the other stuff. This 30-day challenge is wearing me out.
I'm gonna react to his other videos.
Have to see you tomorrow, so.
Crazy outro. I ain't gonna lie, this 30-day challenge is getting crazy. But shout out to my boy. Definitely gotta watch this. I got a lot to say if he say some crazy stuff. Corny the best. Stop it, my boy. But yeah, that wraps it up here, y'all. I don't have too much to say because there's not too much to say about Aunt May. Like, that's a valid point, bro. She plays no important role at all. Like the Aunt May from Toby, the Aunt May from Andrew. We don't get an Uncle Ben, so it's like, why throw her in there if we're not gonna get? And why did we not get an Uncle Ben? Bro, I ain't like thinking about it. Aunt May's a bad representation, bro. Like you said, was sleeping around. You're the only person in Tom Holland's life outside of Tony before he passed away. I ain't gonna lie, this was a good video. It all makes sense. But I'm gonna wrap it up here, bro. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, and like I always tell y'all, I will see y'all when I see y'all. Peace.